Okay, so blue-green Splinter Twin. Body of Research was a card in Strixhaven here. Create a 0/0 blue fractal token and then put a +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of cards in your library. This card is good in conjunction with Simic Ascendancy. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many counters on Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this has 20 or more counters on it, you win the game. So if you can't just beat them down with the fractal, this kind of gives you a suspend 1, win the game 2 card combo. We also have here, and this is a bit of a pet card of mine, you'll know if you've watched the stream for a bit. We've got Hadana's Climb. It's very good with the 1/1 counters theme in this archetype. So put a 1/1 counter on a thing at the beginning of combat. Then if it has 3 or more counters on it, you get to flip this over. And then Winged Temple of Orzaka here lets you give something +X/+X and flying. So this can kind of combo with this as well, because you could have this flip over and then give your Body of Research flying to punch your opponent in the face in the air. We've also got some Brazen Borrowers, a little bit of interaction. We've got some Nissa and Krasis at the top end. We've got some Vorinclex, Monstrous Raider, for if your Body of Research needs to be even a little bit bigger. This card might be win more, but it's also kind of sweet with Climb to jump up because it has tramples. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this and see how it goes. To the many people in chat suggesting Ozolith, I've already hit my threshold of unplayable cards for this deck. I don't have room to add Ozolith in. Two Simic Ascendancy, 4 copies of Body of Research. That fills my unplayable card quota. To people talking about Fling, I think Fling's probably not an unreasonable card to put into this archetype. However, I wanted to try playing it like this to have more consistent mana to start. I would not be surprised if Fling is a reasonable direction to move in. This might be a spell this game. We'll wait and see. The problem with Fling, for people saying, well, there's a ton of removal effects in the format. Are you really telling me you're going to cast Fling? You're going to cast Fling and your 6 mana spell in the same turn, your 8 mana combo is your solution? That doesn't seem super realistic. Ambushing my elf, sure. IQ for 4. This deck, as constructed, has a lot of cards that are good against the plethora of Gandalfs that we've been facing on the ladder recently. Hey, thanks for the 14 months, Kingdom. Welcome back. So, it does work with Terror of the Peaks, yeah. So, Growth Chamber Guardian explicitly doesn't care how it gets counters. I played this second one out, and rather than flipping Climb, I targeted this, because I wanted to, if they wanted to kill my Climb target, kill my weaker one. Oh, that's right. Body of Research is triple blue. I should have put this on the blue side. It's a good thought. And then if they, like, have a sweeper effect here, I have Nissa still, right? Which is pretty good. Man, Growth Chamber Guardian is such a satisfying card to stuff control in a box with, chat. It really just feels good. You got it. These are both pet cards of mine, and I love them both. They're so fantastic. And, like, even here, right? Like, if they hit land Wrath of God, we get to untap and Nissa them. Like, good luck. Okie doke. Alright, so we got a bunch of counter spells on the sideboard. How do I want to approach sideboarding here? It's probably like Incubation Druid out. We need to shuffle Growth Chamber Guardians back into our deck with Quandrix Command. Oh god, that's actually really sweet, isn't it? Yeah, is this good versus control? Probably not, right? This is probably like a plan for like the deck for racing. If we're grinding individually, this isn't very good. I think this is definitely fine since it's a must-answer threat. Vorinclex just win more here? No, not at all. Vorinclex making their planeswalkers come into play with half counters is good, and Vorinclex just being like a big 6/6 trample haste is great. Nah, Klex is excellent. It could be some Hadana's climb out. That card's only okay here. Yeah, he turns off their sagas too if they have something like Elspeth Conquers Death. I could leave an Incubation Druid in from that. I don't hate that. I'm not cutting that many. I am kind of cutting a lot of creatures, aren't I? I'll split the difference here and go 2/2. In climb decks of seasons past, I would always trim climb against control. There's some things worth doing in Standard. Be interested to see what their first few tournaments look like. Man, that hand's great, huh? I'm not sure if I want this to be a land or non-land. So I'm just going to play a tap land here to start. Casual 51.
I train every day. No, keep an open mind.
I'd love to grab an elf crab friend.
I must train harder.
Right, looks like land. Yeah, definitely Drexed. It feels like a better designed version of once for sure. Gosh, our body of research is all the way down to a 46 chat. Is this card even playable? Doesn't even make a 50 power creature anymore. Got me. Hey Chase, thanks for the 19 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Unfortunate we didn't draw another land here. You know, honestly, I think I'm just gonna like end step Borrower here. Rather than play into their mana.
Trust me. You'll thank me. Keep up the pace.
Sayoi, thanks for the follow. Rodadio, thank you for the Prime support. There's a ton of great people you can ship that to every single month. Thanks for sending it this way this month.
No more games.
Yeah, I think there's a chance I'm supposed to bounce this Teferi. Cardboard Live does not have a mobile extension, which is a huge oversight on their part. Cardboard Live is like functional, and that's the extent of it. Nah, I wanted them to counter the bounce so I could draw land and play Nissa. At this point, we're just too far behind missing land drops, though. How many lands is this deck on, by the way? We're on 23? It might be a little bit low on lands. Thought we were playing a little more than that for sure. Honestly, Turn Timber Symbiosis, something that I've been realizing in other decks since I started. This is a list that we built at the very start of the format before we played any games during one of the deck building streams. I think I might actually cut these because having these land spell split cards in a deck with Abundant Harvest is often awkward. Because you'll like say non-land to draw Symbiosis and it like feels real bad. I think we'll probably cut the Symbiosis for regular lands, then maybe get up to 24. This hand's not super exciting, but it's definitely not in the range of keepable. Solidly in hand sucks keep territory. I mean, I have 8 mana creatures too, Ace Tiger. Like, I'm theoretically I'm like 31 mana sources plus others. Plumb the Forbidden. I don't know what that card does, so no. That card doesn't seem very good. Why would that effect be good to build a deck around? So it's good if your card that's already a must-answer threat lives. So it's a card that's good when you... Sounds like a win more card. Yeah. Sounds like I'd rather play Village Rites. For Niner, thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. You think it keeps up with the power level of adventure cards in Standard? I don't know that I see that being the case. And I'm gonna wait and see on the people talking about things that seem okay in Standard. Your anecdotals don't beat my pessimism.
This isn't a fight. Hurry.
Yeah, it's just a way to turn on this so I can hold up the gate.
Time for Plan B. As soon as I think of it. You know what? I'm not done yet.
Yeah, I watched Day 9 play a little bit of Standard yesterday, and it looked like more of the same. Hey, Panda, thanks for the entire year. Welcome back. There aren't really utility lands I want to play, right? This is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Blue is probably fine. We probably just play more Nissa, huh? Castle's not good here. Not really. They like the green castle ramps into exactly Vorinclex. I guess we could theoretically play a blue castle over an island. I guess I don't hate that. I got one more spell slot here. I really don't want to play spell lands with Abundant Harvest. I want this to draw me spells more consistently. It's another, I kind of want another threat. Maybe it's just these up here. Just like another Krasis. There's been a lot of Gandalfs on the ladder. Krasis is pretty good against those. Let's chat for now and play some more games. A lot of people playing bad control decks. I think like 75% of our matches this morning have been against people playing blue-white. Slay Vance, thanks for the follow. Zedra Dawnwaker. Fan of your combo, maybe? Now that can't be it, right? Just a bunch of Vanifear creatures that don't have activated abilities. Could be cycling, yeah. Well, I can fix that, Steve. What is Gandalf? Gandalf is a powerful wizard. Just curious, why do you think blue-white control is bad? Because it doesn't consistently put up results anywhere. Blue-white control is a deck that people feel really smart when they play it. Blue-white control is a deck that has a psychological bias in favor of playing it. It is the type of deck where when you lose a game, you lose very quickly. And when you win a game, you win very slowly. So even if you're 1-1 with a control deck, you could have spent 20 minutes winning and 2 minutes losing. And been perfectly fine. Everything's fine. I was back like a half hour later yesterday, chat. Yes, what yesterday really taught me is how detrimental, not even taught me, reminded me is how detrimental taking a break in the middle of a stream is. Because, like, people were coming back in for, like, the next hour being like, oh, you're back? Because they don't have channel notifications on. I wasn't even gone for an hour yesterday, chat. I didn't know you came back. Yeah, like... Now, I think trying to clock them very quickly against the control deck with lots of interaction is a bad idea. Yeah, Chad, I told you, the ladder is just mono people playing Feel Smart decks. I believe I can fly. We can crunch your face. That's going to be the other thing to think about in these games that we play, is how often is this card actually going to be good enough? Versus how often is it a card that, like, kinda hangs out in our hand, but isn't actually very good. Pretty sure this comes out against control decks. If this survives, it's just gonna attack and kill them. Need to cut 4 cards here. Some people like you like playing control decks for reasons other than feeling smart. What's your reason other than feeling smart for playing your control deck? Call. Please explain to the class. Elaborate. Don't just tell me I'm wrong. Explain why I'm wrong. Yeah, but that's feeling smart. Like, you're playing it because you like how it makes the opponent feel. That's a feel smart deck. Does combo feel smart also? No, combo's about punking people out. Crunch. Ewok, thank you for the 24 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So I could do this for X is 5, and then I can attack with this breeding pool and then fight the Nicol Bolas. Or I could just hold up the negates now. I could just hold up the counter spells. Going on something squared. They aren't quite dead yet, but they're close. Red. Playing Time Warp without green, is that legal? Asking the real questions. Questerson and Nullhide. Yeah, those are both decent cards. I think we have slightly too many non-creatures to really leverage Nullhide well. Questing Beast is one to keep in the bank, though. Card's great against Teferi. Do gift subs count towards deck submission? They do not. There just isn't a good tracking mechanic for gift subs towards deck submissions. There's no comment with it. So bits are direct donation on Streamlabs for deck subs. Krasis deck in this format. Yeah, I think it's too slow and fair. Not only is it slow and fair, but what's it called? Not only is it slow and fair, but like the loss of Teferi, 3-mana Teferi was a big deal for that archetype. If you weren't here yesterday when we were talking about it, Fuzzy Kittens, Rogues would be my pick for likely best deck in this format currently. They're easily the best Memory Lapse deck in the format. Card's very powerful. Okay, this actually isn't terrible for us because this Hydroid Krasis gets to flip the Hadana's Climb now. Farmos, thanks for the follow. Well, I don't think I'd want 3-mana Teferi back in this format. I think Veil of Summer would be a fine card to put into Historic at this point. I mean, Carnage, people talking about Carnage Tyrant in chat. Carnage Tyrant isn't even that good against Rogues, chat. They have 4 main deck cards that have Death Touch on their 1-drop. That, sure, you'll trample for a couple points of damage, but they're just going to go ahead and kill your thing. Like, Rogues... and someone asked me this yesterday. That's always the question when I talk about a deck being the best deck. They're like, okay, Jeff, if that deck ends up being too good, what do you ban? And, like, Rogues is really a deck that's a sum of its parts. Like, there isn't, like, one card you get rid of out of Rogues and suddenly the deck falls apart. Or the deck's much weaker. I actually don't think Lapse is the problem. I think if you wanted to get rid of something out of Rogues, it's probably Drown in the Lock. Is the card that gives their deck too much play. The fact that their counter spell is also a Doomblade is really good. Yeah, Into the Story would also be an okay consideration. I don't know, I think I'd prefer Drown in the Lock. Drown is really strong. Rogues wins a lot of games without ever casting it into the story. No, we're talking about Historic, Drew. I think Rogues is the best deck in this format at the moment for Historic. Well, that's the thing about a format like Historic, Drew. One, we haven't had a ton of tournaments for these decks to really establish themselves as being the best deck yet. That's just my estimation based on my experience playing against a lot of different things so far. And two, unlike in Standard, when there's a best deck in a format like Historic, that's a deck you're gonna play 1 in 10 matches, not 1 in 3 matches. There's a big difference between non-rotating format best deck and rotating format best deck. Yeah, Rogues is an objectively fair deck. When people talk about fair versus unfair in card games, it's not talking about how it feels to play against. It's talking specifically about whether or not the deck is combo killing you or attacking you with creatures. When you talk about a card game deck being fair or unfair, it has nothing to do with the power level of the deck and everything to do with the play patterns the deck generates. The person I just timed out, who said fair in Magic is nonsense, the only thing nonsensical is your post in my chat. Fair is very easy to define in Magic. In fact, I literally just defined it 2 seconds before you posted your silly message that got you timed out. Feels like we're done here? Maybe. Rogue seems like the closest thing to Historic's gonna have to a Delver deck. Kind of. Like, Delver is really more comparable to something like Mono Blue in my experience. Like, as someone who played against Teamer Delver in Legacy, as someone who like played a ton of Legacy back in the day against Teamer Delver, like, the Delver decks were often headlined by the fact that they didn't play to the board. And again, the big thing that makes Rogues have so little counterplay in a lot of these matchups is the fact that, like, they have hard removal on top of their counter spells. Like, traditionally speaking, these tempo decks have to pick and choose between whether or not they're playing hard counters or getting good removal, and Drown in the Lock breaks that kind of decision that you would traditionally have to make for the archetype. Hey, Jeff, recently got back into Magic. Thanks to the YouTube algorithm for showing me your videos. I really enjoy the content. Hey, thanks for dropping into Vio, and thanks for supporting me. I wouldn't be here without folks like you. Glad you're enjoying Historic stuff. Yeah, but like, Bug Delver, traditionally speaking, isn't really a counterspell deck smash. Like, if you look back at Bug Delver over the years, Bug Delver basically plays discard spells and Force of Will. It doesn't usually play a bunch of stuff like Daze and Spell Pierce and all those other cards. And to even go one step further, the removal spells that Bug Delver plays, again, make a decision to have a removal spell versus being a counterspell instead of getting a card that's both. too slow, right? Yeah, it's decent. I think we basically never want this card in our opener. You're at 100 timeouts already. 99 plus something squared. A true Hoaglandian, if you would. I don't know. I think another thing, too, is like I said, it's definitely too early to say anything definitively in terms of power level for the format. As a content creator, I just often get needled on what do I think is the best deck, so Rogues is currently my answer. That answer could even prove to be wrong. Like, we could have some more results and I would change my opinion based on getting more information from the format. Oh, is this the artifact ramp deck, probably? We have not cast a Body of Knowledge yet. Believe it or not, I think there's a chance our 6-mana card's too slow for this format. This format got like a turn to half a turn faster with this most recent card release. How do you feel about bouncing Hedron Archive? Yeah, definitely feels like a turn 4 format. I like Growth Chamber, Brazen Borrower your archive here. I think Orzhov Auras is still very good, but I think it's probably a bit worse than Rogues. If you ask me to make a top 3 list, I think Auras would be in it. I don't know what the third deck is. Auras and Rogues would be my picks for top decks in the format. I don't know what I have after those. We need some more information, I think. Hey, Dogcast, it's the Brander 2. What's up? Welcome to the channel this morning. We can dodge an Ugin, we can dodge a ball, chat. I actually haven't been super impressed by Arcanist decks so far. I don't think we have enough information to say green-white collecting companies should deserve consideration. I think green-white collecting companies a good example of a deck that has tools that prey on the types of things that people like early on in this format. But I think there's a chance that like things like Phoenix and these other spell-based combo decks end up not being particularly competitive. And if those decks end up not being super popular, then the green-white deck goes down a lot in power level. I've not Jack Frost. Had to sub after watching about 40 hours of YouTube content last week. You, CGB, and Jim Davis ignited my will to play Historic. Hey, that's awesome. I definitely think this is one of the better formats of Magic I've played in my 20-some years of playing. I get to kill this Ugin, but like, it's a tough nut trying to beat this Forsaken Monument. What made Rogues better? Inquisition of Kozilek and Memory Lapse.
I come bearing the wisdom. Return to the essence of the multiverse.
It's very sad, but our combo's just not good here. I think our combo's probably just not very good in the format. Our decks felt very slow and bad so far. What's today's stack choice? It's just a block of cheese and some crackers. The opponent's archetype, if you haven't seen it before, I think is pretty reasonable in the format. The big artifact deck. I really like the opponent's archetype with a small black splash for sweepers in the main and Thoughtseize out of the sideboard. If you haven't seen us play that before, we played it a few times on stream. It's very reasonable. Ugin's still a pretty powerful card. Guardian doesn't seem like a historic worthy card to you. Well, that's your opinion. I don't think if anything, just to completely disagree with you for a moment, if anything, this has felt like one of the better, more powerful things our deck has been doing so far today. Like there's a lot of control decks in this format, and Growth Chamber Guardian's been very impressive against them so far. If anything, I kind of want to try this in some other shells without the expensive top end this deck has. Well, I am currently the only one in my house who eats sharp cheddar, so I may or may not just, like, keep a block of cheese in the fridge that I, like, take bites directly out of, and then I put it back in a Ziploc and put it back in the fridge. That may or may not be true. So they're gonna Extinction Event again here, I assume. Get rid of these. I get to go ahead and smack them for 6 here. Play Brazen Borrower. Yeah, you save yourself dishes too, right? If nobody else is eating it, like why would I want to wash a knife? Zakuro, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Well, Simic Ascendancy is not good in multiples. Alright, so you're dead on board? I love this card. These two cards are just... I'd also like the record to be very clear that Any opinion I give you on either of these two cards is definitely biased, and you should like equate whatever I say to them down a notch or two, because I like casting them. So when I say that they're fine, I mean they're pet card fine, and if you like casting them like me, you can probably win games with them. Probably gonna be too slow on the draw here. Pickled ham. Can't say I've ever seen pickled ham. I'm also a vegetarian, so I can't say that I've ever gone looking for pickled ham either. Okay, we've got Decisive Denial and Negate here. They can't Ugin us this turn. There's the monument. Do I eat shrimp? I do not. Jim Buff, thanks for the follow. I eat crabs sometimes. I like, as an overweight American, I enjoy Crab Rangoon. So they have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana. So Decisive Denial, not looking particularly exciting. I eat Elf Crab Warrior. Yeah, sometimes I break off a piece of his claw and like mix it up with some cream cheese. Yeah, that was bait. We took it. Play versus the draw is huge here. On the play in a game like that, we get to like get our threats onto the board before they can develop. I think I'm gonna be done with this one and move on to something else that's worth playing. I'm probably gonna revisit Growth Chamber Guardian plus Hadana's Climb with some of these new blue-green cards at some point, like Decisive Denial and Quandrix Command both sound sweet. Quandrix Command specifically, I kind of want to try this card with GCG because you can put counters on your Growth Chamber Guardian and shuffle dead Growth Chamber Guardians back into your deck so you can find more of them, which sounds exciting. Yeah, you could play crabs with Brainstorm too. That sounds kind of fun. So there's a couple of synergies with Growth Chamber Guardians that we could do. This even shuffles. Yeah, something like that. But just a TLDR on this card's just not good enough for Historic. 6 mana is too much. I think pre-Strixhaven Historic, this idea sounded fine, but it definitely feels like this format's gotten like half a turn faster to a full turn faster. It feels like we're solidly in like turn 4 Magic territory at this point, and these effects are just like too slow and bad. Luminarch Aspirant, yeah, maybe something in Bant could be good. I could see that. I like the idea of Luminarch Aspirant as a threat that's like also climb adjacent. I'll have to tuck that one away for later.